Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Healthy. Today we're going to tackle a number that many of you might be familiar with, perhaps even concerned about your hemoglobin A1C. Now, why is this number so important, especially as we navigate our Lilshires and beyond? Think of your hemoglobin A1C as a snapshot, a reflection of something called glycation. Essentially, it measures the amount of glucose, or blood sugar, that has irreversibly bonded to the hemoglobin within your red blood cells. But here is where it gets really interesting, and a little counterintuitive. Hemoglobin isn't the only protein in your body susceptible to this glycation process. In fact, many of your body's proteins are prone to it. When the collagen in your skin or joints becomes glycated, it can become brittle, leading to thinner skin, wrinkles, or even eroding joint cartilage, paving the way for bone-on-zan bone arthritis. If LDL particles, particularly the small, insidious ones that stem from consuming wheat, grains, and sugars, get glycated, they become much more atherogenic, meaning they are far more likely to lead to coronary disease and atherosclerosis. And it doesn't stop there. Glycation of proteins in your kidneys can accelerate kidney disease. Essentially, glycation is a process that damages proteins all over your body, speeding up aging and the development of chronic diseases. So with that in mind, think of your hemoglobin A1C as a key indicator of how rapidly you might be aging due to this pervasive phenomenon of glycation. It is a major factor in the overall process of aging. We know that individuals with higher A1C levels have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. But what's striking is when this increased risk begins. Studies show that cardiovascular death risk starts to climb significantly at an A1C of just 50%. This is where the common medical advice can be misleading. Many of my colleagues might tell you, "Oh, your hemoglobin A1C of 50% is okay. Go about your business." Why would they say that? Why would they provide such seemingly unhelpful information? Well, sometimes their rationale is rooted in a practical, albeit flawed, definition of health. If you don't yet require medication, like metformin, Byetta injections, or insulin, then you're considered okay. This is frankly absurd. An A1C of 50% already signifies a dramatically increased risk for cardiovascular disease, dementia, kidney disease, stroke, and all the other common diseases we're aware of. And of course, once you reach the diabetic range of 50% or higher, the risks for coronary disease, carotid disease, stroke, amputations, peripheral vascular disease, gastroparesis, and neuropathy, all the serious complications associated with type R diabetes, increase substantially. Much of this heightened risk is indeed due to glycation, along with other detrimental processes. Now, consider this. At what A1C level does the risk for all these conditions essentially dissolve, effectively going away? It's considerably lower than what many doctors advise. The risk significantly diminishes at around 50% or less. For simplicity, let's aim for an A1C of 50% or lower. So, the crucial question is, how do you achieve this? Especially if you're starting with a pre-diabetic A1C of 50% or even in the diabetic range of 50% or higher. First, a critical note of caution. If you are currently on diabetes medications, oral drugs, injectables, or insulin, you absolutely must consult your healthcare provider before making any significant dietary or lifestyle changes. Embarking on these strategies without adjusting your medication could lead to dangerously low blood glucose levels, hypoglycemia, which can cause loss of consciousness and even be fatal. Your doctor should be prepared to adjust your medications, perhaps by halving your insulin or metformin dosage or discontinuing certain oral medications. If your healthcare provider dismisses the idea of reversing diabetes or reducing medication, seek out a more informed practitioner. The danger lies not in the blood sugar itself, but in the medications that can cause hypoglycemia. Now, let's delve into the specifics of how to reach that healthy AOC target of below Bavanjawudanin. The diet prescription. Avoiding the glycation triggers. The primary way to achieve this is by avoiding foods that raise blood glucose, and consequently, your hemoglobin OC. You might be surprised to learn that the main culprits are not what many people assume. It's not necessarily the bacon fat, the butter, the pork, or even olive oil. The primary drivers are wheat, grains, and sugars. Why these specifically? Because the carbohydrate in wheat and grains is a type called amylopectin A. This type of carbohydrate is very easily digestible and causes blood glucose levels to skyrocket. In fact, some of the foods with the highest glycemic index Phe, their capacity to raise blood sugar Phe, are wheat and grains, alongside sugars. Of course, so the foundational dietary step is to eliminate wheat, grains, and sugars. Instead, focus on gravitating towards real, whole foods. This includes foods like beef, pork, eggs, avocados, and green vegetables. Legumes can also be included, while they can raise blood glucose somewhat due to a different type of amylopectin. It's generally less dangerous than the amylopectin found in wheat and grains, giving you a bit more leeway. The nutrient foundation addressing modern deficiencies beyond diet. There are key nutrients that are largely lacking in modern life, and these deficiencies significantly impact insulin resistance Phe, that unwelcome condition where your body's cells don't respond effectively to insulin, leading to higher blood glucose levels. We need to address these foundational nutrients: vitamin D, magnesium, omega-fusen fatty acids, and iodine E. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. Outdoors, indoors. And as we age, we are living largely indoors, wearing clothes that block sunlight. And as we age, our skin's ability to activate vitamin D from sunlight diminishes, especially after age scissure. Supplementing with vitamin D is crucial. Ideally, you want to achieve a blood level of Arshawujian hydroxyvitamin D between Yoshu to Chishu nanograms per milliliter. A common dosage for this is around 10 IU daily, but this can vary based on body weight, as heavier individuals often need more. Racial differences can also play a role. It's wise to periodically monitor your blood levels to ensure you're in the optimal range. Remember, vitamin D is fat-zan soluble, so taking it in an oil-zan-based gel cap is best for absorption. Magnesium. The mineral we're missing. Magnesium is another mineral critically low in our modern diets. Our drinking water, once a source of magnesium from flowing over rocks and minerals, is now filtered. This filtration process, unfortunately, removes most of the magnesium. Furthermore, due to modern farming methods, even our produce is significantly depleted of this vital mineral. We have to supplement. Aim for about 16 to 20 milligrams of elemental magnesium per day, not the total weight of the tablet. Look for magnesium malate, citrate, or glycinate, and check the label for the actual magnesium content. Sen iodine, essential for thyroid health. We've been advised to cut back on salt, and for many, this has meant reducing their intake of iodized salt. While excessive sodium can be problematic, completely abandoning iodized salt without adequate compensation from seafood, shellfish, or seaweed can lead to iodine deficiency. Iodine is critical for your thyroid to produce adequate thyroid hormones. We aim for a slightly higher intake than the recommended daily allowance, around 16 to 20 micrograms of iodine per day. Kelp tablets are a convenient and inexpensive source. Omega-fusen fatty acids, bridging the gap from past to present. Most modern diets lack sufficient omega-fusen fatty acids, particularly DHA, which was once abundant in animal brain matter. We can't simply eat large amounts of fish and shellfish due to concerns about industrial contamination in our oceans, such as mercury and cadmium toxicity. Therefore, supplementation is necessary. I advocate for a daily intake of at least 100 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA, ideally from fish oil, not krill oil. Pharmaceutical preparations like Visipa, pure EPA, are an option, but they often lack DHA, which is crucial for cognitive health. So opting for a high GAN quality fish oil supplement that provides both EPA and DHA is the most effective approach. When you restore these four essential nutrients, all largely lacking in modern life, they work synergistically to minimize insulin resistance. This in turn leads to a gradual reduction in your blood glucose levels, and consequently your hemoglobin A1C. The microbiome factor, taming SIBO and endotoxemia. Now, we move to the most complex, yet remarkably impactful aspect, your gastrointestinal microbiome, particularly addressing SIBO's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and endotoxemia. It's estimated that at least half the U.S. population has SIBO. This occurs when fecal microbes, normally confined to the colon, overpopulate and ascend into the small intestine. Factors like antibiotic use and exposure to chemicals like glyphosate can contribute to this imbalance. Trillions of these microbes die rapidly in the small intestine, releasing toxic compounds called endotoxins into the bloodstream. This condition, endotoxemia, is incredibly common and is a major driver of elevated blood glucose, higher A1C, insulin resistance, increased abdominal fat, fatty liver, and an elevated risk for various cancers, type R diabetes, dementia, heart disease, and autoimmune conditions. Addressing SIBO and endotoxemia provides immense advantages for your overall health. The SIBO yogurt solution to combat SIBO and its consequences. I've developed a unique approach, creating a fermented microbial blend that I call SIBO yogurt. This isn't your typical store bought yogurt. It's a carefully cultured mix designed to restore beneficial microbes that have been lost in modern humans. My recipe utilizes three powerful species: Lactobacillus reuteri, Lactobacillus gasseri, and Bacillus subtilis. These microbes produce bacteriocins, natural antibiotics that effectively kill the invading fecal microbes responsible for SIBO. These specific strains can colonize the small intestine and offer numerous benefits. The process involves fermenting these microbes, ideally individually at first, to ensure high counts and prevent competitive inhibition. To achieve incredibly high microbial concentrations, around 17 billion per half GAN cup serving. Consuming this yogurt for a minimum of 4 weeks has shown remarkable efficacy, often normalizing breath hydrogen gas levels, a marker for SIBO, in about 5% of individuals, far exceeding the success rates of conventional antibiotics like rifaximin. Beyond SIBO eradication, these microbes offer profound additional benefits. Lactobacillus reuteri in particular is associated with smoother skin, reduced wrinkles, enhanced libido, increased testosterone levels in men, improved vaginal moisture in women, and heightened oxytocin effects, leading to increased feelings of love, affection, generosity, and a greater desire for human connection. In essence, it's an age-GAN reversing phenomenon. You don't need to be highly confident that you have SIBO to benefit from this. Even if you have just mild gut imbalances, this fermented blend can improve your health in myriad ways. For those with severe SIBO, a longer duration of consumption, several months, might be necessary, followed by intermittent use 2 to 3 times a week to maintain the benefits, as these microbes may not yet permanently colonize the gut without ongoing support. Putting it all together, the Dr. Healthy A1C protocol. So to recap our strategy for achieving an A1C of 5 or less: a dietary overhaul, Eliminate wheat, grains, and sugars. Embrace real, whole foods. R. Nutrient restoration. Supplement with vitamin D, magnesium, omega-fusen fatty acids, fish oil, and iodine. Sen microbiome rebalancing. Implement the SIBO yogurt protocol to address SIBO and endotoxemia. These elements work in concert. The diet prevents further glycation and glucose spikes. The nutrients help minimize insulin resistance, allowing your body to manage glucose more effectively. And the microbiome intervention tackles a hidden root cause of many metabolic issues, including elevated blood glucose. If you have significant weight to lose, the timeline for seeing dramatic AOC drops might be longer. But these strategies are still the most effective foundation. For more detailed guidance, including how to source the specific microbes and make the SIBO yogurt, I highly recommend checking out my book, Super Gut. You can also find extensive resources and recipes on my blog, drdesmd.com. And if you're looking for ongoing support and community, consider joining my inner circle at drdevsinfinitehealth.com, where we have hundreds of videos, discussions, and live Q5 sessions. Remember, achieving optimal health, including a healthy AOC, is achievable with the right knowledge and consistent application of simple yet powerful strategies. Thank you for joining me today. Stay informed, stay well, and let's work towards a healthier, more vibrant you.